Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be painting some koi fish on black watercolor paper. So I'm filming this intro after I've done the painting, and I want to address the painting saying that I think, in my personal opinion, it's a fail. But I'm gonna leave that up to you to decide. I was a little skeptical about black watercolor paper. I've used it for gouache and it worked great. Obviously, gouache is an opaque medium, but watercolor's transparent. So I was a little skeptical at the beginning, and then my painting, I don't personally like it, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. So if you wanna know if it turned out or not, also if you wanna know how to paint koi fish, I'll show you how with this. This could work on regular watercolor paper that's white, no problem. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. But you guys let me know in the comments below if you think this was a pass or a fail, because I think it may have been a fail. Anyway, let me know and let's jump right in. Okay, so to start, I'm just gonna go through my materials. Today we are testing out this Stonehenge Aqua Cold Press Black Watercolor Paper by Legion Paper. I have used it a couple times, but mostly for gouache. I haven't really tried it too much with watercolor. I'm a little hesitant / skeptical because watercolor is a transparent medium. So we're gonna see how this actually goes. And I thought we'd paint a cute like koi fish photo. I got this off Pinterest, so I will link it below. And it's great because it has a black background, and I thought the transparency of the white fins and tail would be pretty cool. So that's what we're gonna try. All right, so I have my paper. I cut it in half and I just taped it down with painter's tape, and we're gonna start. So usually I would sketch out, but when you sketch with a pencil on black paper, you can kind of see it. So I don't know if I should or not. I think I'm gonna try, but just because I don't really know what I'm doing with a koi fish. So I'm just gonna do a curve this way for this one fish. Really, really light. And if you can't see, I'm sorry, but I just want to make sure it's as light as possible. And then there's another fish. I'm kind of just doing the spine and the edge of the tail line. Okay. And then this one kind of goes like this and like curves almost like an S, like that. And then from the top of that little line, I know it's really light, I'm sorry. You're just going to make it thicker. Like this, and then it gets thinner, closer to the tail. And then the tail's gonna come out here. And I am gonna erase some of these lines. I just kind of want to draw it out first, just to get the feeling of what this fish's body looks like. Like that, and then this one is just very curved. And that head is kind of slimmer at the tip where the nose or mouth would be. And it's widest, like kind of where the body area is. It curves in. And obviously this is not going to be a realistic representation. This is just for fun. And they have these cool fins, which I'm not going to draw because I don't want to. I think I'm going to move this one up actually a bit more. Where's my eraser? That would be great. Also, erasing on black paper is not ideal. So I suggest try to do it very lightly. Use a kneaded eraser if you have one. Okay, so we're going to try and make this one a bit higher and smaller. Okay, I'm going to do one side of the body coming out this way, and then the other side to make the thickest part here. Comes in where the tail bit is. It's thin down here, and then it comes out. Like that. And like that. Okay, so there we go. Now I'm just going to erase, especially in the middle, and just any extra lines we don't need and just make it a little bit lighter. I'm sorry if you can't see this. And we're just gonna go for it. Okay, so these koi fish are orange and white, which is perfect because with watercolor, like I was talking about, it's a transparent medium, which means you can see through it. So the one thing I have noticed about my watercolors and a lot of watercolors that I've tested, the cadmiums yellow, orange, and red are actually a bit more opaque than they are transparent. And if you look at Etchr, I got their watercolor palette. They actually say on some of them that they're opaque. So the yellow is opaque. This one is semi-opaque. So there's some that are transparent and some that are opaque. But I find the yellows and the reds and oranges, basically the ones that say cadmium. So I don't know exactly what that means, but they usually have a bit more opaqueness to them, and white. So I don't ever really use white on my watercolor palette. If I do use white ink, I use this, but I do have white from my Etchr Lab one. So we're gonna use this. Okay, so I'm gonna stop talking and I'm going to wet up the colors I'm gonna be using. So I'm gonna be using this white. I'm gonna be using cadmium, I think this one's cadmium red, which is an orangier tint. Cadmium orange and cadmium, no, this one is a Winsor red, but I think cadmium red or red deep is similar to that. Okay, so, but I'm gonna start with the white. Sorry, I keep talking. And I'm just gonna go around the fish, the body of the fish. And as you can see, white is pretty opaque. Okay, just gonna go around the body of the fish to start, and then I'm going to fill it in with water. Okay, because we're going to be doing some wet on wet to get some cool effects on this koi fish. Okay. Like that. And now the parts that I want more white, I'm going to take more white pigment, and especially so like around the sides and stuff. I'm going to tap it in there and let it kind of bleed into the lighter bits. Like that. Maybe do like a dot in the middle for this one. They have some sort of spots like that. Now I'm going to grab my cadmium red, which I said is on the more orangey side. And I'm just going to drop it in and kind of fill it in where those whiter or lighter white bits were. You know what I mean? Not the edge. I don't know. I'm trying to make sense. I'm gonna do some dots just to get a bit of texture, because koi fish have some cool patterns on them, like so. Okay, and then for the fins and the tail, I want to do it white, but I want it to be a bit more transparent. So I'm not going to use as much white. I want to use a light wash of the white so it looks transparent. And I'm just going to go around the shape of the fins and then fill it in with like this water so it's a nice like transparent white. And then we'll do some of the white detail on top. So it's a bit more opaque as it gets closer to the body of the fish. And I'm just gonna make the fins, like the tail, a little bit more jagged, like that. Then I'm gonna grab more white and again, tap it in to the base. And I'm gonna do some lines kind of coming in. You don't wanna go out because you don't want the larger part of the, I wanna say explosion, but the bloom to be on the outer parts. You want it to be nice and thin over here. You want it to be back here where it's gonna be more pigmented. So drag those lines inwards. Like that, okay? Then we'll do another one over here. Let's make it nice and light. It's using just a little bit of color. I have one up here too. Like that. The other side. one kind of along the back. Oops, the orange is getting in there, but that's okay. Again, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now I'm going to grab more of my white. Tap it closer to where the body is so it can kind of bleed out. And then you're going to do some lines coming in towards the body. Like that. Like that. Okay. And I think I might use some cadmium red on some of the orange there too, just to make it a bit brighter. Like that. Okay, let's do this guy. Adding a bit more water to my white here. I'm gonna go around the body of the fish. Just adding more water. Like that. And then the tail. This tail is kind of folded, so we might make a different part of it a bit more darker. Okay, let's get our white in there. And then especially by the tail. So it's kind of folded right here. I'm just gonna make it darker on that one side. And then let's do some of these fins before we add in the orange. Okay, a bit more white and those lines coming in. And we can do a bit more detail on those lines later once it's dry too. Okay, let's get our orange. Go down the body, and they have this fin on their back too that's white and kind of transparent, so I think I might do that too also when this whole thing dries. So this guy's head is a bit more orangey. Get a bit of red. I might even get a little bit of brown. I feel that's a bit too dark. Okay, let's get a bit of brown. So I'm just going to take some burnt umber and then mix it with some orange. Do some dots like that. Maybe a little bit of a darker brown or a black for like where the eyes are kind of. You can add some little brown dots if you like. Okay, so let's let that dry and then we can do a bit more detail on it. Okay, so it dried a little bit lighter than I thought, but that's okay. So we're just gonna grab our white again. If you wanna grab a smaller brush, you can. I'm using my size 6 brush. And I'm just gonna be doing some more of those little lines coming in from the fins, like that. Kinda. So remember it's folded here, so I'm just gonna do a bigger line like it's folded over. And then some lighter lines like this. And also there's that fin on the back I was talking about. Looks a little odd. That's all good. Not sure how I feel about this paper, I'm gonna be honest, but it's all good. It's nice to try something new, right? I'm gonna do some more lines. Okay. And I feel like maybe I can just build up the orange a bit too. So I'm gonna grab a bit more orange and red. And I'm just going to intensify it, especially towards the middle. Okay, so like the edges can be kind of like there's like a shadow. You can just add a little bit more texture kind of by going along the center. And just dabbing it. I might even add a little bit of cadmium yellow to get a little bit of brightness on top. Okay, like that. And now I have an idea to do some water. I don't know if I should leave it black or if I should put some water around it, but because I don't know how I feel necessarily about this painting, I feel like it couldn't hurt to just try something new. Cobalt blue, I believe, is another one that's kind of opaque. So let me just test it out on some of the other black paper. I think it will kind of show up. So I have an idea. And I'm gonna go around the fish carefully, not to paint on the fish. Okay, I'm just using, I had a little bit of blue on my brush, but I'm using mostly water, and we're gonna do some wet on wet. So I'm gonna wet the whole area. That's also why I have it taped down. Okay, and what we're gonna do, I'm just gonna do one little section at a time just so I make sure it stays wet. I'm gonna grab that cobalt blue and I'm gonna tap it around where the fish are. So it looks like there's some blue water, like that. Okay, and I'm gonna let it bleed out just around where the fish are, so it's gonna fade out into the black. Okay, I'm gonna wash off my brush again, go in with just water around these fish. Fill it in all the way up to that tape. Oh, and the tape I'm using is just painter's tape from the dollar store. Literally cheap $1 paint. Okay, go around those fins. And I'm really adding water to my brush because my brush is only a size 6, so it doesn't carry too much water. That's why I'm not drying it off. I really just want to get this page wet. You don't want it where it's going to pool and drip everywhere. But that's why I'm also using a smaller brush, because I kind of know how much water I want and need. So I'm just dropping it in around that fish or those fish. You can do a couple like coming out, a couple like drops further out away from the fish, but you want most of that blue right up where the fish are. I really hope this turns out. Because in my head it does, but I don't actually know when we take this tape off and when it dries what it's going to look like. So let me just keep doing that and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's dry. Okay, so now it's dry. It kind of occurred to me that with my light on, it might have been a little bit difficult to see the blue. And even now that it's dried, it's not that bright. I thought it was going to be a bit brighter, but that's okay. So let's just take the paper off, which apparently my painter's tape likes to take off part of this paper too, apparently. Okay, things are not going the greatest. And it's funny, people have asked for more of my fails, and this may be one of them. But there you go. There is how you paint koi fish. It may actually work better on white paper. But yeah, that's that. I don't know if that worked out or not. But let me know in the comments below what you think of this paper, what you think I should try with it maybe, or if I should just scrap using it for watercolor altogether. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.